Hey there, I'm Safina and welcome to my channel. So today we're going to talk about how to get a wilderness permit to go backpacking in Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Parks. So we're going to go over the wilderness permit general information, how to pick a trail, and then step by step on how to reserve a wilderness permit. So let's get into it. There are chapters set up and down in the description, so if you want to skip to a certain part, feel free to do that. I also put all of the links that I'm going to show you today down in the description, so it's a little easier for you to navigate the permit process. All right, now let's get into it. Sequoia and Kings Canyon became national parks in 1890 and 1940 respectively, and have been run jointly since World War II. Sequoia National Park is actually America's second national park and the first to be established to protect a living organism, the giant sequoias. Kings Canyon shares the title for America's third national park along with Yosemite. There is a lot to be explored in these two national parks, from the enormous granite domes, the marble caves, 9 of California's 14er peaks, and of course the world's largest trees, the sequoias. In terms of backpacking, there are 2 seasons, the non-quota season and the quota season. So for this year, the non-quota season is September 19th through May 26th, 2022. And then the quota season is May 27th through September 17th of this year, so 2022. Generally, the quota season runs the Friday before Memorial Day through the second Saturday before Labor Day. So during the non-quota season, the wilderness permits are free, self-issued, and not limited to any daily entry quotas. During the quota season, there are a certain number of people who can start their backpacking trips at these different entry points, and this is the entry points quota. Wilderness permits can be reserved up to 6 months in advance and up to 7 days before your trip. They cost $15 and an additional $5 per person. If you have to cancel your trip and you are more than a week away from the start date, then you'll get a refund of the $5 per person. But if you are within a week before your trip, then no fees are refunded. There are some regulations to keep in mind during your planning, and the first being area-specific camping restrictions. There are different restrictions for different areas, and I'll put a link in the description so you can see if there are restrictions for where you're going. For instance, on the popular Ray Lakes Loop, you can only camp in designated sites in Lower Paradise Valley. There's a 2-night camping limit in Paradise Valley and some additional restrictions. The second is going to be the group size limit. So if you are traveling on the maintained trails, the limit is 15 people per group. And then if you're traveling off trail, the limit's going to be between 8 and 12 people depending on where you are in the park. Third is sanitation. So you can bury your poop in a cat hole 6 to 8 inches deep. However, in Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks, you'll need to pack out your toilet paper. And if you want to learn more about why you need to be conscious of where you're pooping, you can watch this video next. It's because you drink the water out there. Number 4 is food storage. So this is bear country, so we need to make sure that we're storing our food properly. And the best way to do that is going to be with a bear canister. So you're going to put all of your food and scented items like chapstick, deodorant, utensils that you're using to eat, anything that has a scent, you're going to put it into the bear canister and place it 100 feet away from your campsite. There are other methods of storing your food in bear country, including hanging a bear bag or using food lockers. However, as you can see on their website, the bear locker map, which is up to date as of 2015, you don't want to count on the bear lockers being available and functional out on the trail. And sometimes there aren't trees that are appropriate for hanging bear bags. So it's always a safe bet to just go ahead and use your bear canister. I'll be coming out with a video on bear safety and the different methods to store your food in bear country. So hit subscribe if you're interested in learning more about that. And then number 5 is campfires. So campfires are allowed in a few places in Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks, but it's also going to depend on the fire danger around the time that you're going. So it's a good idea not to rely on campfires to cook all of your food. You want to invest in one of these, a camp stove. And you can watch this video for a comparison. There's many out there, so just find a good one and don't rely on a campfire. So there are other regulations that you need to read over and understand before you go, and all of those center around the 7 principles of leave no trace. So just make sure you read all of those regulations before you go. So next is picking a trail, and last year there was the large K&P complex, and this map shows you where the national park was affected. So area closures are in yellow and the road and trail closures are in red. These closures can change at any time. So you want to come back to this page and the current conditions page, which is linked in the description, to frequently check if you are interested in one of the closed areas. You can also look up the trail description on the National Park website, and I've mentioned this in previous videos as well, but I also like to use all trails to explore the different routes and see what the distance and elevation gain is going to be. Also, how the elevation gain is distributed along the trail is really important. So if it's 1,000 feet in elevation gain, slowly over 3 miles, or is it all at once straight up a mountain? That's gonna make a difference. You'll also be able to see what others have said about the trail during the same time of year that you're planning on going the previous year. And then also you can look at reviews leading up to your trip. Lastly, if you don't see the route that you want to take, you can also draw your own map to get an idea of the distance and elevation gain. And then if you have the paid version, you can also download the map. So when you're out on the trail, the GPS on your phone will show you where you are on that map to ensure that you're on track. All right, now we're gonna go step by step through how to make a reservation for a wilderness permit. You'll need to know 3 things: your entry and exit points and dates, where you'll camp each night, and how many people are in your group. Email applications are no longer accepted, so you will have to make an account on recreation.gov. Again, wilderness permits are available up to 6 months in advance and up to 7 days before your trip. So if you want a permit but you are less than 7 days before your start date, then you can go into a permitting station either the day before or the day of, and try to get a walk-up permit. So on recreation.gov, we're going to search for Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks wilderness permits and explore the available permits by putting in your trip start date and group size. If there is availability, it'll have this blue number indicating the available spots. If there are only walk-up permits available, then there is a green W. And not all entry points can be reserved. You can determine this by clicking on the entry point, and it'll give you some information on how many permits are reservable and how many are walk-up. The gray 0 can actually mean 3 different things. So either all the permits are gone for the date that you selected, the date you selected is more than 6 months in advance, so they haven't been released yet, or that entry point is closed. And you can determine that by clicking on the entry point, and it'll let you know if it's open or closed. Once you select an entry point, you will not be able to change it later, so you want to make sure that this is really the one that you want. You'll fill out your personal information. You can add up to 3 alternate permit holders, and you want to make sure you take advantage of this because since you need to pick these permits up in person, if you end up not being able to go, you get sick or something, then at least one of these alternate permit holders can go in person and pick up the permits so that the rest of the group can still go on the trip. You'll indicate your exit point and date where you'll be staying each night. Pets aren't allowed, but you can bring stock animals on certain trails. And then you'll need to pick up your permit in person the day before starting at 1 p.m. or the day of before 10 a.m. So here it tells you which permit station to pick it up from. If you don't pick up your permit before 10 a.m., it will be considered a no-show and it'll be given up for walk-ups. So if you know that you'll be later than 10 a.m., you can write hold in this box. Or you can contact the wilderness office ahead of time so that they know not to give your permit away. When you go to pick up your permit, all of the members need to be present because they do have a wilderness orientation that you'll all have to go through. Then you agree to the terms and conditions and pay for your permit. That's it. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you're going to Sequoia or Kings Canyon National Park down in the comments. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content, and until next time, I'll see you on the trail.